time by inviting Chris Newsom up to give a few words.
Right? So this is not a public relations book. This is not a whitewash. This is an honest effort. But in the end, in assessing a man's life, you have to weigh, you have to balance. Is there a man or a woman in this audience who hasn't made mistakes? Chris, maybe has made 1 or 2. My wife will tell you I've made 3 or 4 million. Right? Even the young people, maybe you're too young yet to know that you've made some mistakes, but you have. We all have, and if you're running your country as a prime minister or president, you make mistakes. But look at the economic development of Malaysia, the balancing act, and the standing up for Malaysia. Even his critics have to admit that buy British first was fun. He's only in office like 6 months and he has his buy British last, excuse me. Buy British last, remember that? I mean, that kind of told you what kind of prime minister you were going to have. This is somebody who was not going to be a pussycat. This is someone that was going to stand up for Malaysian interests.
He's a big-time leader. I mean, he's a big-time world leader. He sometimes has infuriated people, but you got to remember his attacks on the IMF, International Monetary Fund, in 1998, which were widely denounced by the West, are viewed now today as correct criticisms. Now, maybe he was a little intemperate in his language, but that's his style. He feels he has to shout to be heard. Well, Asia does have to shout to be heard, because Americans haven't recognized that Asia is important. Lee Kuan Yew sometimes shouts and had to be heard. And that's the only way to get your point across. Speaking softly hasn't worked, you see? So that, the currency issue, and other issues, including the whole issue of Islam. Is Islam only going to be a threat to the West? Is it only going to be fighting the West, towers falling over, car bombs going off? Or is it going to be a contributor to a civilization? Can Islam bring to the West and to our contemporary society good things, positive things, values of humanity and understanding? Does the Quran have to be militaristic and antagonistic? Dr. M says no. That's the voice we need to hear in the West, because we don't hear that voice. We hear the voice of the mullahs that want to turn everything down. He recognized that this book was going to try to be fair. And he recognized I wasn't out to get him, and I wasn't out to make him a saint. Because first of all, he's not a saint. And secondly, I wasn't out to get him, I was out to understand. And once he accepted that's what I was trying to do, he relaxed a little, and he became quite candid in spots, and sometimes even surprising me, where I went back and said, now you said X, you sure you want to say that? And he would say, that's what I said, that's what I want to say.
Presented to Dr. M's office.
Hi.